Greetings all and welcome to our, there we go. Greetings all and welcome to our number 11 class number 11 for our 11th week here of first phase TPS questions here for ZG Plus Zeitgeist platform. As usual, we have 5 questions, a mix of old TPS questions and some new original ones that I have made. Okay. And today we are going to start with an original one, discussing Edward Hopper, the famous American painter, and well, his works have always been attached to a feeling of loneliness and of detachment from other people, and I thought it was very has a lot to do with the current times we live in, right? So I thought it was a good idea to use it. And also, again, just repeating that notion that the exam also tests your general culture. It's always good to know something about the arts, especially for history and other subjects like that, where they ask you a lot of these more culture-based questions, okay? So now let's delve into Hopper a little bit more. Okay. Let's dive into Hopper, sorry. Though termed a realist, Hopper is more properly a symbolist, investing objective appearance with a clenched melancholy subjectivity. He was an able draftsman and masterly as a painter of light and shadow, but he ruthlessly subordinated aesthetic pleasure to the compacted description, as dense as uranium, of things that answered to his feelings without exposing them. Nearly every house he painted strikes me as a self-portrait, with brooding windows and almost never visible, or should one be indicated, inviting door. If his pictures sometimes seem awkwardly forced, that's not a flaw. It's a guarantee that he has pushed the communicative capabilities of paintings to their limits, then a little bit beyond. He leaves us alone with our own solitude, taking our breath away and not giving it back. Regarding his human subject as lonely, it evades their truth. We might freak out if we had to be those people, but look, they're doing okay, however grim their lot. Think Samuel Beckett's famous tag, "I can't go on, I'll go on." Now delete the first sentence. With Hopper, the going on is not a choice. I haven't seen Edward Hopper, A Fresh Look at Landscape, a large show at the lately reopened Bayer Foundation, Switzerland's premium museum of modern art outside Basel. I take its fine catalog, edited by exhibition curator Ulf Kutster, as occasion enough for reflecting anew on the artist's stubborn force. I rely as well on memories that we likely share of encountering nighthawks in early Sunday mornings, but also really anything from his hand. Once you've seen a Hopper, it's always seen lodged in your mind's eye. The reason beyond exacting observations and authentic feeling is an exceptional stylistic cleverness. Hopper was explicit on this score, saying in 1933, "I have tried to present my sensations in what is the most congenial and impressive form to me." Exasperated by questions of his works meant he squelched one interviewer by exclaiming, "I am after me." The remark reflects his debt to European romanticism and symbolism, which he absorbed in depth while stripping away any stylistic resemblances. Highly literate, and he read and reread 19th century German and French poetry all his life, his poetic liberties in realist mode paints back to one of his favorite predecessors, Gustave Courbet, and certain smoldering vehemence in Hopper puts me in the mind of Theodore Géricault, except tamped down to static views of drab actualities. Hopper imported or smuggled some emotive powers of European traditions to unforgiving American soil. Right? So I think this is a very dense text talking about art history and art critique. and critiques of Hopper. So in a language that most of us are not familiar in a day-to-day basis, especially if we only read history in English and other subjects more practical than art history. So it can be a bit difficult to decipher this vocab. All right, but we'll do our best here. All right. So moving right along, question 1, according to the text, decide whether the following statements are right or wrong. Again, now this is a reading interpretation question disguised as a vocab question. Now, question number 1, item 1. The word brooding with brooding windows written in bold type could be changed to skulking without affecting the meaning of the sentence. Sulking, not skulking, sulking. All right, so this is a vocab question, so we have to see what brooding means. So we go back to our trusty dictionary. Here we go for brooding. If we go to the dictionary and see brooding, making you feel uncomfortable or worried, as if something bad is going to happen. All right, so it makes you feel uncomfortable that something bad is going to happen, almost like an omen. Something bad is going to happen. Okay. If we go to brooding, then we go to soaking here. We get the official definition of soaking here in the Cambridge Dictionary. To be silent, to refuse to smile or pleasant to people because you're angry about something. All right, so you're soaking your anger about something. So it's not the same as brooding, which is you feel uncomfortable. When you're angry, it doesn't necessarily mean you feel uncomfortable that something bad is going to happen. When you're angry, you're more active. It's a different feeling, all right? So number 1 is incorrect. Brooding cannot be changed to soaking without affecting the meaning of the sentence. Okay, so number 1 is wrong. Number 2, according to the author, Hopper should be considered a symbolist auteur, given his predilection for expressing his loneliness through his paintings. Now, that's not correct. If we go back to the sentence here, Hopper is more properly a symbolist, investing objective appearance with clenched melancholy and subjectivity. Okay, though termed a realist, investing objective appearance with clenched melancholy and subjectivity. All right, and that's not by expressing his loneliness. He uses melancholy and loneliness, all right, through his paintings, but that doesn't make him a symbolist necessarily. Okay, is he invests objective appearance with clenched melancholy and subjectivity. Okay, and yeah, and doesn't say loneliness. That's basically the point here. When you look at the text, it has to be right there in the text. It does not mention loneliness, so you can't. It mentions melancholy. So sometimes the exam will try to trick you like that. Oh, melancholy has to do with loneliness, but it doesn't necessarily say that in the original text, so it's wrong. If it doesn't say there specifically, explicitly, it's incorrect. All right. Moving on. Question number 3. Hopper's artwork has pushed the expressiveness of the canvas, meaning where you paint, medium, to the brink of comprehension. And that is incorrect. It doesn't mean that his works are impenetrable. You can't understand it. What I was trying to maybe trick you guys here is, if you read this sentence, it's guaranteed that he has pushed the communicative capabilities of painting to their limits and then a little bit beyond. So he's making his paintings more expressive than any other paintings, more communicative. This does not necessarily make it incomprehensible, as it said here. So one thing is, it's pushing the communicativeness to the limit, meaning he's becoming so communicative through his paintings, he's above everybody else. Not necessarily that his work is incomprehensible or to the brink of comprehension. Okay. All right, so number 3 is incorrect. Contrary to what the famous playwright expressed, meaning Samuel Beckett, so you have to know that Samuel Beckett was a playwright. All right, so there's a general culture that you need. People have no say in the course of events, meaning that they have no choice. All right, so here with Hopper, the going on is not a choice. So there's no choice. Destiny happens with or without you. So events happen with or without you. So you have no choice in what to do with it. It happens regardless of your intentions, of your wants. All right, so this one is correct. Okay. So going back, question 1. Oh, and I like to correct. Item 3 is wrong, is not correct. The answer key is wrong here. Oh no, it's right. It's correct. It's correct. No, sorry, it's correct. So here we have right, wrong, wrong, right on the first question. Oh yeah, so I'm sorry, number 1 is incorrect here. If we see, why did I put correct? Let me see here on our famous thesaurus. All right. Just have a question because there was one question here from question 1 that the answer key was incorrect. So if we go to our synonyms, it's always a good site. It's thesaurus.com. You'll see, yeah, I'm sorry, I think it's correct. I came up with the question and I changed the answer. All right. And in a sense, brooding, soaking could be a actual substitute synonym for sulking. So forget what I said in question number 1. In a sense, when you're sulking, it can also be brooding again. Okay, could have that meaning, that anger meaning as well, because you're uncomfortable. Okay, so it could have that meaning as well. So in this sense, in this context, it could be. So forget everything I said about question 1, item 1. Item 1 is correct. So again, question 1 would be correct, incorrect, incorrect, correct. All right. Changing now to question number 2. The author thoroughly enjoyed the catalog published by Bellier Foundation. Okay, and this one is a very simple answer. This one's just to test if you're paying attention or not. If we look, this one is incorrect because here, you can't say that the catalog wasn't published, first of all, by the Berlin Foundation. The catalog was from the large show, which showed at the Berlin Foundation, but the catalog itself, we don't know if it was from the foundation or if it was from the organizers of the show, for one. And second, we don't know if the author thoroughly enjoyed completely. This is not said in the text. It's an extrapolation, so that's why it would be incorrect. When you extrapolate the meaning of the original text, it's incorrect. All right. Number 2, the word score in bold can be correctly replaced by tally without affecting the meaning of the sentence. Again, this is trying to trick you because when you see score, you think of a sports score, like they're 4-3 or something like that. So when you see that, you think, oh yeah, it's adding, like a tally. And in this case, it's incorrect. If we go here to score, he was explicit on this score, meaning on this subject, on this theme, not on this number, like a score, like in a game, but on this theme. Score meaning almost like a score, like a orchestra score, meaning a story or a theme or a subject, okay? Not numbers, like in a game, like in a game score. All right. Hopper surprised his interviewer by revealing that his works were a quest for self-identity. And this one, if you go back, is a vocab question disguised as a reading interpretation question. If you go to the sentence, exasperated by questions of what his works meant, he squelched one interviewer by his claiming, "I'm after me." If we go to squelched, so you would think that squelched is surprising, but it's not. So if you go here, put squelch on, we would see that squelch means crush, extinguish, oppress. So he was crushing he was oppressing his interviewer. It's me. He's not surprising. He's being almost aggressive towards his interviewer, not surprising. Okay. So 3 wrong now. Now we go here. The sentence, "and a certain smoldering vehemence in Hopper puts me in mind of Thoreau Jéricault, except tamped down to statistic views of drab actualities," can be written in as, "and a certain seething," correct, "vehemence in reminds me of Theodore Crow's." Oh, here we have a typo, which could, yeah, I'm going to have to annul this one, but it was supposed to be correct. Theodore Jéricault, except taped down to statistic view of bleak actualities. Drab is a synonym of bleak, and seething is a synonym of smoldering. So it was supposed to be correct, but I forgot to copy paste part of the sentence, so I'm going to have to annul this one. All right, so I would annul. This one is void. Question 2, item 4, void, 0, because there's a misprint here. Okay, they usually do this in the actual TPS when there's a misprint or word missing. They usually toss the question out. Okay, so we'll do that here as well. So question 2, item 4 is no longer valid. All right, I'm even going to change it here. I'm going to, well. All right, so if you go here, question 2, item number 4, big X. Right. So it's wrong, X. Okay. Moving on to question 3. According to the author, Hopper had a very inflexible personality, which made it easier for him to convey his true sensations in his work. Nowhere in the text does it say he has a very inflexible personality. It means he was harsh, but inflexible personality, and that making it easier for him to convey his true sensations is not a causal effect that is in the text. So it's incorrect. Okay. All right. Hopper drew his influences in part from European Romanticism, and this is correct. This says in the text. He drew his influences from there, although he did not follow the style in his paintings. It says that he drew information from there. And you'll see it's supposed to be correct because every time they put like in part, some way, somewhat, it's usually correct because they're covering their basis, not to have their questions appealed. All right, so usually when you say in part, when they're being very polite, they're trying to make the question right. All right. So this one is correct. Okay. The author believes the reader could be somewhat familiar with a few of Hopper's works. And this you can get by the general sense of the text. This one is also correct here when you see somewhat there, because he mentions various artworks by Hopper, and he takes this as a given that the reader already knows his works. Like for instance, citing various works from him. As well, in our memories, we likely share of encountering nighthawks early morning, Sunday mornings and stuff. So he's in this sentence, he's showing us that the reader is also familiar with Hopper, okay, in some things, right? Some of his works. So this is correct as well. Moving to question 4. All of the artworks crafted by Hopper contain what the author believes to be forced scenery. No, this is incorrect. Especially all of the artworks. First of all, the text doesn't mention all of his artworks at all. And forced scenery, no. And here he says some might think his sceneries are forced, but it's actually not. If you read the text, you'll see that is very cleverly made to show his true feelings through his work. So they're not forced. They might seem forced, some of his work, but no. So this is doubly wrong. This is completely incorrect. All right, so question 3. If we go back here, question 3 is wrong, right, wrong. Okay, wrong, right, wrong. Now question 4, we're back to a CESP question, back from the 2017 exam. So at the end of every summer, the French diplomatic service summons all its ambassadors from around the world to Paris for a week of brainstorming and fine cuisine. Usually the assembled crowd is monochrome, middle-aged, and male. Since 2015, however, has been marked by silk scarves and colored jackets. In that year, nearly a third of the ambassadorial corps was made up of women, compared to 19% in Britain and 26% in the United States. Indeed, France has transformed the place of female diplomats. Surely, this has not happened without an official push. A few years ago, in 2012, France decided to reserve a share of top public service appointments for women with a target of 40% by 2018. Does a female ambassador change anything besides the pressing linguistic questions of whether to call her Madame l'ambassadrice, favored by some young diplomats, or Madame l'ambassadeur, which some prefer in order to avoid being taken for an ambassador's wife? The answer may be not all that much. Perhaps more importantly, a less male representation projects a less futzy national image at a time when soft power counts for even more. In fact, feminization seems to be part of a broader French effort to renew our global diplomacy for the 21st century, said Laurent Fabius, the foreign minister whose predecessor but one was a woman, Michel Alloy-Marie. All right, so question 4. In spite of some passages which might be taken as ironic, it is correct to conclude that the text considers the changes in French diplomacy to be positive. This is correct, and it has all the signs that it's correct, because in spite of some passages being ironic, so it's trying to cover its bases, the text, of course, is overall positive to women joining diplomacy, joining high ranks of the French diplomacy. So this one is pretty clear-cut, easy. It's correct. All right. According to the text, the foreign minister, Laurent Fabius, was appointed immediately after Alloy-Marie's term. Again, this is something extrapolating the meaning of the text. We don't know. He might have been, but we don't know exactly. It doesn't say in the text. It says she was the predecessor, but it doesn't say when. So we can't affirm definitively. So it's incorrect. Always be aware of these questions. All right. Because they can be tricky. Because if you go fast, you can, oh, breed, yeah, sure. Said it was the predecessor, right? So always take your time when reading these questions. Make sure you have understood correctly the text. All right. The mentioning of fine cuisine suggests that the French ambassadors were in Paris also to learn about French gastronomy due to the no. You can see they had fine cuisine in their meetings, but it had nothing to do with French gastronomy per se. So you can't judge that, gather that from the original text. All right, so that's incorrect. The contrast between the images created by the expressions monochrome, middle-aged, and male, and silk scarves and colored jackets function as a rhetorical resource which reinforces the idea that French diplomacy is becoming a more feminine realm. Sure, that is correct. Because of the, now you see more silk scarves and colorful colored jackets, something that is usually used by female female diplomats or female public figures. So yeah, you can see the contrast there, because now it's not monochrome anymore, it's more diverse. Okay, so that one is correct. So correct, incorrect, incorrect, correct. Okay, checking in, correct, incorrect, incorrect, correct. All right. Now, moving on to a vocab question. The words assembled and pressing, both in bold type, can respectively mean gathered and grave. That is correct. Assemble, when you assemble, you gather a lot of people. Assemble, that's why they call it an assembly, because you gather a lot of people. And pressing means something grave, something urgent, emergency. All right, so these two are correct. Okay, you can both be changed. Convened and dire, also correct. When you convened to come together, to assemble. And dire also means urgent, pressing. Okay, so synonyms, correct. Engaged and urgent. Well, engaged, it means that you're paying attention, that you're engaged in something, that you're doing something, and the means of doing something does not necessarily mean that you are assembled, so that is incorrect, but urgent is correct. But since one is incorrect, the whole item is incorrect. So this one is incorrect. Number 4, rallied is correct. Rally means gathered, assembled, again, convened. It's correct. And tough. Tough does not mean pressing. Something is not something urgent. It's something hard, not something urgent. So this is incorrect. So this item is incorrect. So correct, correct, incorrect, incorrect. Okay. So here we end our week 11. Once again, if you need any clarification on any items, I'm sorry about question 1, about item 1, which was correct after all. But the rest, and also remember question 2, item 4 was annulled. Okay, so if you have any further questions, please write me an email. I will answer it as soon as possible. All right, thank you very much. See you next week for our 12th list of questions. Thank you, and bye-bye.